Remington Ultimate Muzzleloader, 200-yard deer recovery, and sausage meat cutting. William Hovey Smith, 2016. I'm the author of Backyard Deer Hunting, and here we actually take one, really in my backyard, with the Remington Model 700 Ultimate Muzzleloader and cheap shot bullets.
This is Hovey Smith with Hovey's Outdoor Adventures. This is a tale that's not going to be pretty, so sort of be warned. What happened was, late day before yesterday, I had a shot at a deer silhouetted against this broom sage over here at 200 yards with the Remington Ultimate Muzzleloader. Well, I hit the deer. And then the dogs and I came and we looked for it and we could not find it. As it turned out, it reversed directions and ran in an opposite direction from what I expected. It was facing this way and I expected to run this way, but instead it had run that way. Well, logically I would have come back the following morning early and looked for it. But I had a meeting in Atlanta, so I had to go up there and back, and by the time I returned, it was after dark. And I found it. And the critters have been at it a little bit. It's rained on it a little bit. And we're going to go back and get it. Now the thing about that deer right now, it is completely stiff. So I'm going to field dress it in place. So we're going to go back to the carcass right now, and I'm going to show you some pictures of it, and they ain't pretty. I guarantee you, they are not pretty at all. So we're going to take the meat out, and we're actually going to salvage it for sausage. Because I've got one cut up in cube steaks, ground meat, and I've got one cut up for cut meat, so this one is going into sausage. So that's what we're going to be about. So the next thing you'll see is a picture of that rather wretched looking deer.
Well, here is the deer, and as I say, it is not pretty. The carcass has been scavenged a little bit by various forest critters. Actually, they did open the belly, and some of the intestines are spilled out on the other side. I won't bother to show you those. They roughed up the fur a little bit on the back, but actually not gotten into the meat yet. So consequently, the meat part of it is fine. I would strongly suspect we'll know when we start cutting into it a little bit. And I was able to get my lawn tractor back in here. The woods are somewhat open. And so I was able to maneuver it around and pull just a few pieces of deadfall out, so I was able to get somewhat closer. Nonetheless, I'm going ahead and skin the deer right here on the spot and take the meat and put it in the cooler. And the offal and the parts I'm going to throw away are going in a tub, and I'll take them further back in the woods and dump them. And the reason I'm doing that is I don't pin my dogs, and if they come back at this carcass and there are coyotes on it, a pack of coyotes, they'll kill these dogs in defense of their lunch. And I have lost dogs that way before, so I want to get this carcass, what I don't use of it, further away from the house. Because now that dogs know where it is, if I leave it here, they will surely come back to it. Well, we are half done, and pretty it is not. Smell? A little bit, not too bad. It's pretty cool, so no, the meat is fine. It's good and pink and all that kind of good stuff. Still fresh blood and whatnot, a few flies. It's still pretty cool. So we are proceeding apace. Now that I have the hindquarters removed, as well as the back straps from the other side and the foreleg, I'm ready to work on the other half of the carcass. and I put it in the tub just to keep it a little cleaner, and I lift it a little up and make it a little easier for me to work. Although the head is removed, you can see the foreleg over to the right, and so that's of course where the shoulder is. So I'm going to skin all that back, and then I'll be able to remove the back straps and that shoulder, and that'll be all I'll take. And the rest of this, yeah, it'll just get hauled much further back in the woods. We've now got the carcass stripped down. Now this is not as clean a job as I would have done if I'd had it to the house, but for out here in the woods, yeah, and considering this thing is set out here for a day, yeah, that's good. You can see that very red spot in about the center, right above the hide. That's where the bullet exited. I had aimed for a heart shot, but it went a little far back. And it caught the stomach and other organs down there, and that's the reason the deer made it so far, even though fatally struck. If I'd hit the heart, yeah, it would have run, but it would not run as far, and perhaps we would have found it. But that's the way it worked out. So we're going to get our rig back to the road, back to my trail now, which is no easy feat, and then start working up the meat itself, cutting it up into cubes and cleaning it, and then grinding it for sausage. We're now getting ready to actually salvage the meat. And what we've done, we have washed and sterilized in boiling water all of our cutting tools here, including the knife and the saw used to actually dress the deer out there in the woods that you saw. And we're going to take the pieces of meat, this is a section of back strap, cut it into hunks so we can put it in the sausage making machine and grind it and put it in plastic containers and then get it in the refrigerator just as quick as possible. Now when you're handling meat, water is your enemy, particularly in the field. You get water on meat and it will start to rot very quickly in warm conditions. Now right now this is very definitely still cool to the touch, which is fine. It's exactly how you want it. If you start to get meat and it's like room temperature, that's too hot. You've got to keep it cooler than that. So all through the process you want to keep it cool, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to quickly work out these back straps and put it in here, and as soon as we get a container full, then that's going into the refrigerator, and tomorrow we'll actually grind it and start the sausage making. We've now salvaged the meat from the back straps, which you can see here, and we've cut away anything that wasn't really, you know, good clean meat. And this, I sometimes just take this, dice it up and throw it in a frying pan and fry it up for the dogs, but I really don't have time to fool with it right now, so I'm going to just discard this here. And so now we get the next piece and proceed. So now we've got the shoulder, which is a pretty clean piece of meat. I want to mix it with these back straps because this has a lot of tendon in it here. In making sausage, you want to take this tendon meat and mix it with meat that doesn't have many tendons so that you don't gum up your grinder with it. So that's why we're going to do this at this stage. We now have our first container nearly full. Go in the refrigerator, and we have our leg and shoulder bone here separated, and these will go into the pot for dog bones. And the fat is cut away. It's not put in the mix. Deer fat will go rancid on you, and so you don't want to keep that. And this could go into the dog pot or into the trash as you like. But the critters had fed on it a little bit, so a lot of this is just going to be cut away through here and go immediately into the dog pot. Some of this is contaminated with stomach content on the outside, but the muzzle sheath has protected the interior meat, so actually this is all right once you get the outside layer removed. So we're going to be slicing this away into the dog pot here, and then working up the rest of this hindquarter and cutting it up. And so we'll finish up this first container and get it in the refrigerator so it can be cooling. Now, everything that was contaminated or questionable or had a lot of hair on it has already been cut away. So without turning it over, I'm going to work this top half and then do the other half. Now there's some blood right here that you'll see. Now this is normal. This would occur on any deer, and so this is nothing unusual. You'll also find occasional spots of blood around the joints and stuff, and that's also normal. That's nothing unusual. There are also masses of fat within the leg itself around the joints, and that you would cut away and remove. But we're now just going to proceed and just remove these muscles now that they're clean. And that's how we clean them, just by cutting away anything that was in any way dirty. And you can still look at the pieces here and make sure, yeah, that's all good fresh meat, and then dice it up a little bit and put it in your container. The one piece that I did salvage to take out whole and wrap separately is the neck roast, which is here, which is actually the neck and backbone. And this is some of the sweetest, best eating meat on the entire deer, although most people throw it away. And so I'm going to wrap this separately, and we'll actually cook this roast sometimes in the very near future. We're halfway through the process now, and I've washed the knives and I've washed the cutting boards, and I've reversed the board, so we're working with clean surfaces now. So we're going to be proceeding, working up exactly the same pieces as we did before, starting here with the back straps. Well, it's 1:30 in the morning now, just about, and we have our deer cut up for making sausage. And we have two containers here, large and one smaller one. And these are going to go in the refrigerator, where they will sit very comfortably overnight, and I'll get around to doing the sausage tomorrow. Now tomorrow, incidentally, is the last day of Georgia's deer season, and I still have two guns that need to kill deer. So I'll be out at first light in the morning. So this now can wait. But so far as processing this deer went, that could not wait. I did not hunt this evening because I was busy doing this. But having set out for a full day and a night and a part of another day, no, this stuff needs to be worked up right now. Is it safe to eat? Of course it is. If you happen to go to England and you happen to eat at the Queen's table, you will very likely be served wild game. Now the English hang their stuff for an awful long time. Maybe even a fortnight, 2 weeks. Yuck. This deer just sat out for less than 2 days. So yeah, it's just fine. It looked terrible. What this says is that if you do a deer like this, if you shoot one, yeah, and you don't find it the next day, but you do the day following, it's probably just fine if it's been reasonably cool. So go ahead, even if it looks cruddy like mine did, and go ahead and process it yourself. Now it may be, if it looked as bad as mine did, your commercial deer processor just flat won't accept it. And I wouldn't be surprised. He doesn't want that nasty thing in his shop. And I can't say I blame him much. So be prepared to do it yourself if that happens. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe, goodbye, God bless, and see you next time. Here is a picture from last year when I actually started working with this gun and also a tree lounge climbing stand. Now this deer was really one of my backyard deer. I walked out of my back door to shoot it. And I am also the author of Extreme Muzzleloading, and I work with everybody's guns, both modern and traditional. I have other books like Crossbow Hunting, as well as Practical Bow Fishing, and a new line of muzzleloading e-books, including muzzleloaders for hunters, as well as cleaning and maintaining your muzzleloader. In addition, I have a line of business books under the Profit brand. And the first of these is Ideas for New Businesses, How to Find Your Million or Billion Dollar Business. And here is a little blurb about me and about the book. Now here's some information on the load I use. Now most hunters would have left this deer in the woods, which is a shame because as you saw, the deer was salvageable. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye and God bless.